वेलकम टू सोशियो क्लासेस। इस वीडियो में हम मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस करने जा रहे हैं। पॉलिटिकल साइंस बीए सेकेंड सेमेस्टर, पेपर पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी 2, इंग्लिश मीडियम में। अगर आप पंजाबी मीडियम के स्टूडेंट हैं तो हमने पंजाबी में ऑलरेडी ये सेम वीडियो बना दी है, तो आप उसे रेफ़र कर सकते हैं। एंड हम बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स की भी वीडियो बना रहे हैं, तो आप अपने सब्जेक्ट की वीडियो ज़रूर चेक करिएगा। शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस। Explain the meaning of authority. What is the importance of authority? What is the origin of the word authority? Write down any 4 sources of legitimacy. Define political culture. Explain any 4 components of political culture. Write any 4 types of political socialization. How is the role of peer groups significant in political socialization? Explain the meaning of legal rights. Write down any 4 legal duties. Who are the main supporters of negative liberty? What is the meaning of political liberty? Write down the origin of the word justice. What is the meaning of social change? What do you mean by direct democracy? Write down the 2 important characteristics of legitimacy. Describe the meaning of political culture. Mention 2 differences between power and authority. What are rights? Describe the 2 basic principles of the UN Declaration of Human Rights. What do you mean by environment? Discuss the main effects of air pollution. Write down the meaning of liberty. How is liberty protected in a modern state? What do you mean by economic dimension of justice? What do you mean by democratic government? Write down any 4 characteristics of the government. What is the dictatorship of proletariat according to Marxists? Why is democracy known as the government of the rich? Write down 2 definitions of power. What is national power? Define power. Write down 2 kinds of legitimacy. What do you mean by duties? Write down 4 characteristics of human rights. What is the significance of December 10th? What do you mean by ozone layer? Write down 4 characteristics of equality. Write down 4 characteristics to ensure legal equality. Write down 4 modes of social change. What are Marxists' view of democracy? Write down 4 differences between Marxist and liberal democracy. Write 2 characteristics of legitimacy. Write 4 duties of a citizen. What do you mean by negative liberty? What do you understand by classless society of Marx? Who are the political elite according to the elitist theory of democracy? Write 4 safeguards of liberty. What do you mean by dictatorship of proletariat? What do you mean by direct democracy? What do you mean by national power? Rights and duties are correlated. Do you agree? Which theory of democracy has been propounded by Pareto and Mosca? Write down the importance of legitimacy. What do you mean by human rights? Write down any 4 legal duties. What do you mean by justice? Write down the meaning of equality. What do you mean by democratic government? Write down the meaning of elite. What is meant by secularization of political culture? What do you mean by charismatic power? What is the origin of the word authority? What is the meaning of structural legitimacy? What do you mean by latent political socialization? Write down the meaning of fundamental rights. When the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the United Nations, what is the nature of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? What is the origin of the word duty? What do you mean by the elitist theory of democracy? What do you mean by power? Write down 4 features of political culture. Write down any 4 safeguards of rights. What do you mean by national liberty? What is the legal dimension of justice? Write down any 4 conditions necessary for the success of democracy. Write down any 4 features of socialistic democracy. Write down any four features of political socialization. Write down any two types of political culture. What do you mean by manifest political socialization? Write down the political rights of the citizen. What is the importance of December 10th? What do you mean by social equality? Write down any four kinds of liberty. What is the origin of the word justice? Define elitist theory of democracy. Write any two features of authority. Origin of the word legitimacy to be explained. Describe the parochial and participant political culture. What is the need for political socialization? Define rights. Give any four duties of a citizen. When is Human Rights Day celebrated? What is the significance of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Give any four safeguards of liberty. What do you mean by political and economic equality? What is the relationship between justice and equality? Mention any four hindrances of social change. Define democracy. Who were the main advocates of elitist theory of democracy? Give any two features of Marxist theory of democracy. Write any four merits of democracy. Write down any four modes of social change. What is the origin of the word justice? What do you mean by social equality? What do you mean by economic liberty? Write down any four characteristics of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What is the origin of the word duty? Write down the political rights of citizens. Write down the main types of political socialization. Write down any four characteristics of political culture. What do you mean by political culture? What do you mean by crisis of legitimacy? Write down any four differences between power and authority. What is the origin of the word authority? What do you mean by power? What do you mean by Christmas power? Long essay type questions. Unit 1. What do you mean by power? Write down its different kinds. Discuss the different kinds of power. What do you mean by power and authority? Write down the differences between the two. What do you mean by power? Define its characteristics. What are the various sources of power? Write them in detail. Define the concept of legitimacy and explain its various characteristics. What do you mean by political culture? Discuss its various kinds. What do you mean by the crisis of legitimacy? What are the causes responsible for it? Define authority and discuss its characteristics. What do you mean by secular culture? What are the factors helpful in the growth of secular political culture? Define political socialization. Explain its agents or means and characteristics. Define political socialization. Discuss its various agents. Write in detail the various agents of political socialization. Explain the agents of political socialization in detail. Define political socialization. Explain its characteristics. Unit 2. Discuss the various civil, political, and economic rights which are enjoyed by the citizens in modern democratic states. Define rights. Discuss in the brief the right enjoyed by the citizen in modern India. Explain the different kinds of rights. What do you mean by rights? Explain in detail the nature of them. What do you mean by rights? Explain in detail the various characteristics of rights. Write down the relationship between rights and duties. Rights and duties are the two sides of the same coin. Write down the different kinds of duties. Define human rights and explain its nature and characteristics. Write down the rights included in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Write down the importance of the right included in Declaration of Human Rights. What do you mean by environmental pollution? Write down the types of environmental pollution. Rights and duties are correlated. Discuss. Write an essay on civil and political rights as mentioned in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What do you mean by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Explain its nature in detail. Write down the features of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Discuss the features of rights and its different kinds. Unit 3. Define equality and discuss the legal, political, and social economic dimensions of equality. What do you mean by liberty? Discuss its kind and safeguard. Discuss the different kinds of liberty. Political liberty is a myth without economic equality. Discuss. Explain in detail the relationship between political liberty and economic equality. What is the relationship between economic liberty and political equality? What are different kinds of justice? Explain legal justice and how it can be ensured. Define the concept of justice. Discuss its legal, political, social, and economic dimensions. What are the different dimensions of justice? Unit 4. What are the hindrances in the way of social change? How would you remove these? What are the modes and hindrances of social change? What do you mean by social change? Write down the characteristics of social change. Discuss various factors of social change. Write down the nature of social change. Write down the characteristics of liberal democracy. Define democracy. Write different characteristics and types of democracy. Make a critical evaluation of elite theory of democracy. Explain the main features of elitist theory of democracy. What are the necessary conditions for the success of democracy? Liberal democracy is the best form of government. Do you agree with this viewpoint? Discuss the merits and demerits of democracy. Discuss the features of social change and the various factors of social change. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.